you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Iron Lady sings that makes official welcome to the big show. I mean, what kind of classy show do we have here where we hire opera singers to come do the show? Maybe I should just hire an opera singer to replace me, and they can just opera sing the whole show. That might happen. But the way to keep that from happening and keep Chris Voss around is to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com, Facebook.com, YouTube.com. It's all the same. Chris Voss, one word. You can find us over there.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her book that came out September 21st, 2004, called The Awakening of Dawn Hanley by Rita K. Hamilton. We're going to get into it with her and find out some of the deets on her amazing book, some of her stories of life, etc., etc. She's been a school librarian, a part-time church secretary, and a tutor for ESL, that's English as a Second Language students. She served on the board of the Home of Hope for homeless animals for several years, and she believes her true vocation has been that of a student and seeker of the hidden realities behind life and purpose. She lives with her husband, Howard, of 54 years, 2 cats, Buff and Tuck, and she volunteers at the local museum to enjoy the life of a senior citizen. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Okay.
Rita, it's fun to have you on the show. Give us any .coms, websites, social media. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
RitaKHamilton.com, the website that they're working to get up.
So watch for that. There'll be a link on the Chris Voss Show. So Rita, give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book?
Okay, it's a story of a young man who promised he wants to go to college, but his mother doesn't want him to. She's very religious. She makes him promise to not change. And he can, so he promises he won't let college change him. And in order to go, he stays with his distant relative he didn't even know he had in a room and board arrangement. And she turns out to have a psychic gift of communicating with animals. And he, with his background and his promise, is no, she's got to be a fraud, or she's got to be crazy or something. And while he tries to figure that out while he lives with her.
That might be a little challenging if you're trying to figure out if someone is crazy or why they're crazy if you're living with them. That sounds like one of those adventures.
That's where the awakening comes in.
That's where the what comes in?
The awakening.
The awakening. Okay.
It's kind of like an epiphany.
Okay.
Yeah, that living with Margaret for several years, he does come to an awakening. Maybe there's more to this than he thought.
There's more.
The awakening it's kind of like a epiphany, only it's slower. Epiphany is like wham, all of a sudden you know. And awakening is more like slowly, gradually, you begin to see where the truth may be.
And, sometimes we do live in places where we assume one thing, and it takes us a while to see what's going on outside of our kind of box we build of belief systems. Is that kind of a good analogy of, waking up and realizing maybe it's been right there before you the whole time?
Yes, very much. In fact, I feel like people need to get out of a box sometimes. Nothing to do with the book in that sense, but the idea that, you're raised in a family that you say, I never want to be like my parents, or I want to be, or have a better marriage than my parents. If you don't do anything about it, you're going to automatically fall back into their patterns because you don't know anything else.
Yeah, that's your blueprint you were raised with, and it's indelibly stamped on you until you change it.
So the way to change that is to open your mind and decide, I'm going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to learn a different way of being a parent. I'm going to learn a different way of what it takes to have a good marriage. And so that when I can get the opportunity, I will do it differently because I learned something differently.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how those blueprints really map us out and shape our lives, that we learn how it shapes our relationships with other people. Because what's the old line? I was trying to think of this yesterday. We seek the wound. We seek the teeth that match the wound. And it's to that effect. I may not be getting exactly right. We seek the teeth that matches the wound. And so what a lot of people do, and this is from psychology, and I don't know that it's exact science, let's put it that way, but a lot of times what we do is we try and recreate the broken, damaged relationship our parents had, and we try and resolve it because we think we can we think we can fix it. But the problem is we're still carrying that damaged blueprint. And so we think we can fix it. The problem is usually the scenarios of why that relationship was broken was the problem, the people that were in it, and the trauma or whatever their issues were from their blueprints. This is where generational trauma comes in. And the problem is the format, right? If I constantly hold a ballet out on a lake and all the ballet people keep drowning, the problem is this setting. I probably should hold it on a stage somewhere. They won't drown. I mean, you have to change venues basically, and you got to get rid of your old blueprints and go to therapy and stuff. So what was the impetus that prompted you in writing this book? Was there an aha moment that said, hey, I should write this book?
First of all, was not being around people enough to share some of my thoughts with. And in a way, it's a memorial to my dog. The dog Sobra in the book was actually based on a real dog. And I kind of partly that's the reason I named her the same, is because it was kind of like an honor, a dog that I had lost a few years before. So
that's a wonderful homage.
Yeah. Go on.
The topics you cover in the book, was there something in your life? I mean, you mentioned something about you didn't feel like you were connecting people to expand on that a little bit more, if you would, please.
I just felt like nobody was interested. And I can remember in high school, for example, a bunch of us girls were sitting together and the girls started talking about who they thought was going all the way and stuff. And I wanted to yell at them, who cares? Why don't we talk about something important like why are we here? What's the purpose of life? Don't you think we'll be talking about those things? And I never said anything because I knew they wouldn't be interested. And so I always felt kind of alone a little bit. So in the book, I could share some of the thoughts, but some of the things I learned. Yeah. Not everything, but
there you go. It's great that you were able to find a resource to share that with and everything. And, a lot of people go through similar experiences. They feel alienated by some groups and they're trying to find their place in life. Why do you call it a slice of life story, I guess?
But it's not a mystery. It's not a love story, even though there's some love in it and stuff. But it's a slice of Dan's life. Just all of us, we have certain points in our lives where events happen that changes the future and changes our opinion about the past. And it's like just a slice of 3 years in his life.
Okay.
As the whole life.
Now, this character, Dan, is he the main character in this book? Who's the main character?
He kind of shares it with Margaret.
Okay.
Yeah. And Laurie, the girl next door. But I would say Margaret, he learns all these things and Margaret tells him, and then I don't know, I want to believe her or not, stuff. But so it's kind of a sharing, I think, of him and her.
Ah. Okay. And they're sharing room and board together, and he's suspicious that she may not be maybe the nice person that she puts off to be. Is that a good?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He asked to. Turns out to be a distant relative. He because of financial problems, he needed a way to pay for room and board. She didn't want to pay rent her. She wanted someone who knew handyman skills. Someone could live in handyman skills. So that was the agreement, because he had all these skills he learned from his father, the handyman skills.
Handyman skills are good.
Right.
And with the book, I mean, you've put some different things in here. What role do these animals play in teaching life lessons in your book? You've got, I guess there's a Labrador, a parakeet, cats, and I think some dogs.
No, the lady,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the mother dog. Yeah, it's like each situation that he encounters with the animal, he learns something.
Oh.
Yeah. Now Tyler, when he moved in, he didn't like cats. My husband didn't like cats when we first got together. All he knew about them was what was on farm cats, out in the farm barn. But Tyler, who wound up sitting on his desk with him while he studied, taught him the cats were okay. Tyler would want attention when he stopped studying, and he developed a kind of a relationship with Tyler from just holding him. I mean, Tyler wanted to be petted and stuff. So I think with animals, it's the situation that you find with them that you're in where you can learn, or watch them, learn different things. Yeah.
Learning from animals, and so they help tell us part of the story, I guess. Then,
Right.
and some of the other characters in the story, I think there's a thief and different things. Did any of those inspired from you from real life? Maybe knowing people like that.
Not that mean, but I do know somebody who bragged about if he saw a cat or dog alongside of the road, he'd try to run it over.
Wow, there's something wrong with people who do that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But he wasn't someone that was in my life all the time, but I knew him. And some of so you just add to that. But did get in the idea that he hated animals and he would torture them. But behind that was this projecting. People will blame someone or something because they can't face blaming the real issue. Like in him, his father left. His father deserted the family and took dogs with him. And then instead of blaming his father for leaving him, it was like Dad loved the dogs better than he loved me. And then they used the animals as a substitute psychologically, for his dad.
Wow. With that. Now, you talk also in the book about cosmic consciousness. What's that about? And Margaret, I think, is the name of some of that in the book.
Cosmic consciousness is almost an out-of-body experience. You suddenly find yourself in connection with nature, in connection with other life, as if you are part of our nature, as if you are part of the tree or the part of the flowers. And it's almost, you read about people who have near-death experiences. It's somewhat the same feeling. It only lasts for a couple of seconds or a minute at the most, but it leaves you with this profound sense of being one with everything.
Yeah. It's crazy. Have you ever had a near-death life experience?
Not a near-death one, but I have had the cosmic conscious experience.
Oh, really? Yeah. Have you just one or more? Or
Just one.
What was it like to have that happen to you? And I guess it was impactful enough to put in the book.
Yeah, it was actually at a retreat, a women's retreat, and we were in a wooded area, and I was laying on the cot, and I suddenly felt the trees and the trees around the camp and stuff, and I felt the trees were actually feeling joy. That I never thought about that, but there was a joy in the nature of in the trees. And I felt like I was part of the trees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Part of the trees. That's got to be interesting. A conscious awakening. So do you think you'll have more of those? Do you see yourself having more of those? Or is it kind of a random thing that happens to you?
I don't know. There is another one I've been thinking about, but it's more of a essay type than it is a novel.
Oh, okay.
I'm kicking that around.
So cosmic consciousness is it sometimes cosmic consciousness is when you smoke that wacky tobacco?
I never smoked it, so I don't know.
Maybe some of that acid. I hear that's kind of fun. It takes you some weird places, mushrooms.
Yeah.
So,
I always been afraid of it. Yeah.
One time I smoked some paprika and got really high. No, I'm just kidding. I just made that. I had friends in high school. They would smoke anything trying to get high. They'd smoke like broccoli and mint. And
really?
They had some issues. Let's put it that way.
I wouldn't think that would work.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure that eons of humanity have gone before and discovered what the best things are to smoke. And maybe trying to smoke broccoli isn't the best idea. And then they'd always be angry they couldn't get high. And you're just like, is broccoli. It's pretty much made to irritate President Bush, the senior, and anyone else who hates broccoli. What's the overall theme, would you say, of this book? The overall arching theme of what you want to maybe readers to learn or feel or experience?
I would say a sense of oneness, like we're all connected. Animal, a vegetable, we're all connected there. That's the cosmic conscious experience. You realize on some level we're all part of the same thing. And then also I would think overall theme would be stay open. Don't stay in a box. Stay open to learning new ideas and when they come your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep an open mind and maybe also watch out for crazy people, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's my policy. That's my policy. With the book, what advice would you give about kindness, understanding, and personal growth?
Kindness, you get paid back. Somebody is mean to you, but if you respond in a kindness kind of way, protective, they don't know what to do. Because it's like they expect you to come back at them in a mean way.
Yeah.
And so it kind of throws them for a loop sometimes.
Yeah. My dad used to do this thing when people were mean to him. He would if he could put his arm around him or he could, touch him on the shoulder or on the arm just to show that he cared. And he'd be like, "Hey man, who hurt you? What happened, man? You were very angry. Let's talk about it." And they would break down into tears and start crying with him. It was interesting to watch. And, he really did care. He wasn't like, just faking it to just be a jerk or anything. But yeah.
He's a perfect example.
Yeah, he's a perfect example of maybe some of the best things you can do to do all this. So
in terms of personal growth, I kind of feel like that's why we're on the earth. That we're supposed to, that's like the earth is a giant schoolroom, and we're supposed to be learning as we're guided to different situations. Like job, you learn things from one job, you might learn other things from the family, hobbies and stuff, you might learn another set of lessons. But I kind of feel like, and they're all lessons to help you know yourself better and know the universal spirit, God, or whatever you want to call them in your relationship. But every situation we find ourselves in, instead of saying, why did this happen to me? It should be saying, what am I to learn from this?
Yeah. What can I learn?
Yeah.
Lifelong learning is really important. You do a lot of things. You work at I think you said at the library, I think, right now? The library?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of things to help people. Are a lot of the things you espouse, lifelong learning and stuff like that? Is that kind of the example of the life you tend to lead?
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah. Always reading some novels, a lot of nonfiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of nonfiction there. Do you have a favorite? Who were some of your inspirations for your book writing? Maybe growing up, maybe when you started writing or reading. Was there any authors that were kind of your favorite?
Oh, geez. The problem is I've read too many.
All of them.
All of them. I used to say that if I felt guided to read a book, if I didn't like most of it, but if there's just one page or chapter in the book that kind of hit home for me, then that's the reason I was supposed to read it, was that one particular section.
No, but that's brilliant. I had that on the show. There's a lot of people on the show, and I think I've had people ask me before. They've said, you ever get tired of hearing maybe the same old thing, from authors? You know a lot about leadership. You know a lot about running businesses. You ever get tired of hearing, people talk about the same subjects? And I go, no, I don't, because when people come on my show, sometimes they have similar ideas or the same sort of end game they've gotten to, but sometimes they have a whole different perspective, an angle of looking at the issue, and that's where I really learn and grow. I've read lots of books on leadership, and I love the topic of leadership, but sometimes someone will come on and they have a different perspective, or they have a different way of looking at it, and it really adds value to where you're like, wow, I never thought of it from that angle. Mm-hmm. And then you have a much more broader view you can take away with all of that new data you've learned. So
that's what I hope people take away from this book is, I never thought about that one.
And that's a good analogy, even if you don't like the book. If you can learn one thing, and in a lot of cases, there are things in life that we need to learn. And, maybe we should be looking at those and saying, what can I learn from this? Sometimes bad things happen to us, and instead of, throwing a pity party and boo-hoo and the world hates me and the universe is trying to destroy me and nothing goes my way and whatever sort of entitlement you may. I always love people who say, I deserve love. I deserve good health. I deserve to be successful. No, it's not the way the universe works. No one deserves shit. No, if anything, you're lucky if you get to stay alive for a while, and you're just dodging meteors the whole time. So stay alive, and it's the biggest survival game on TV. Basically, I guess there's some aliens watching it somewhere on reality TV. Human reality TV. Tune in Thursday. But no, I'm glad that you write about this stuff. You share it. What's the future hold for you? Are there any future books maybe coming out? Any series deriving from this?
Right now, like I said, I have one I've been thinking about writing. I haven't even started it. I want to see how this kind of goes first. But and it would be a nonfiction one.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you love about writing nonfiction?
Writing or reading it?
Both. Go and give me both, if you would.
You learn. I like the learning, experiencing what other people have experienced. But then novels can do the same thing. A good novel, you can relate with the character. And I think especially reading books that are written from perspective of someone in another country and another culture, can help you understand the world and see everybody as a human.
Yeah. These are important lessons to learn. Empathy for other people, the experience, and when people don't have that, they tend to make a lot of assumptions. Sometimes they pick up racism or xenophobia, and they're afraid of the other person, because they don't understand them and they don't. And, Abraham Lincoln had a great saying, and I think he was referring to it when he said it about a politician that was maybe in Congress or something that was bad-mouthing him. And he said, I don't like that man, and I'm going to get to know him and learn more about him. It's something to that effect. I may not have gotten the quote exactly right, but basically, he knew that there was a reason he didn't like that person, was because he felt alienated because he didn't know the person, and that maybe by getting to know the person, understanding them more, their motives, their motivations, what they want to do with their lives, their dreams, their hopes and desires, we're all human on this planet. Everyone's a parent. They love their children. They want the best for their children, regardless of what country they live in or culture or ideological nature that they live in or political construct.
most people, they just want to do the same. They want to do some work, go home, spend time with their family, have a little entertainment, and try and enjoy their life as best they can. And that's all most people really want. There's a lot of evil people in the world that make everyone look bad. But in reality, I think most people behave that way. What do you think?
I think they're losing the purpose. I think if everybody looked at life and what they're going through with as what am I supposed to learn from this? And what does it teach me about myself? And what does it teach me about another person, in terms of feeling their humanity? And what does it teach me about the overall of energy that is the world?
Yeah. I mean, if more people would do that, they would learn and grow as opposed to just, becoming stumped and hateful and angry and bitter and blaming the world for all their problems. It really comes down to self-accountability. You got to be accountable for yourself. And if you don't learn from your mistakes, you'll just keep making the same ones over and over again. I've seen that myself personally.
Yeah, that's why I know when I was 10 years old, I prayed that when I grew up, I wouldn't have a marriage like my parents. Because it was a really bad marriage. They wound up staying together 36 years, but I've been divorced. But when I got old enough to think about that, I read everything I could find. Men are for Mars, women are for Venus. What it takes to communicate with the opposite sex. What makes a good wife. What makes a good husband. I read everything I could. People told me I was being picky. But we've been married 54 years and we'll be 55 in October. So I did something right.
Congrats. Maybe, you looked at the blueprint you were given and said, we need to rewrite this and do it better. And there are ways to do it. And, that's when you break up generational trauma. So it's not passed down for your family and stuff. And, and a lot of that just, if it's unresolved, it just gets passed down and then your kids have to deal with it.
But if you deliberately try to find a better way, you can break the pattern.
Break the pattern, folks. That's probably a good theme in the book, too. So as we go out, give us your final pitch out to the audience to pick up your book, to get to know you better, reach out on your website when it's up, and all that good stuff.
Our website is ritakhamilton.com. And if you go on the website, you'll read a little bit about me, a little bit about the book. And, we'll be connected with a place where you can buy it. And I think it's a good read, and there's so much different ideas in there that people have never thought about before. And honestly, some of them I never thought about until I started writing it, and then these things would pop into my mind. Yeah.
Good stuff there. Well, Rita, it's been fun to have you on the show. Thank you for coming by.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great job. And thanks to our audience for tuning in. Order the book where refined books are sold. It's called The Awakening of Dan Hanley, a novel out September 21st, 2004 by Rita K. Hamilton. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right there, Rita. Great show. Great job. And this